Relegation trapdoor still looms for two big teams. Burnley and Wolves are down already, leaving a tense London shootout for survival. Tottenham sit 2 points clear, meaning they just need a draw against Everton to stay safe on goal difference, which would send West Ham crashing down to the Championship no matter what they do against Leeds. But if Spurs lose and West Ham win, it's the Hammers who will survive. So it's all still to play for as we hit the final game week of this Premier League season.
So as you just heard, that comes down to either West Ham going down or the Spurs, and it's all in the hand of Spurs. It's theirs effectively to lose. If they're beaten by Everton and West Ham manage on the final day to win our last game, then we stay up and they go down. I say we, but I'm going to be objective now. So welcome back to the show. Top man himself, the host of the Spurs Chat, Chris Cowlin. It has been a terrible, bumpy season for both of us. Could you give me your kind of higher points, if there have been any, in your low points, Chris, when you look back at the season?
Oh, wow, Paul. Good morning to you, by the way. It's been a disaster of a season, actually. Of course, we finished 17th last season. We're sitting in 17th now. Of course, it's gone down to the last day of the season, Spurs or West Ham. There haven't been many great moments this season, if I'm completely honest. We've gone through, multiple different managers, 3 different managers, Thomas Frank, Igor Tudor, Roberto De Zerbi. And I would actually say that the last few games, except the Chelsea one, we put in some decent performances. I think the turning point for us to be out of the relegation zone was that win at Wolves. First win in 118 days, and that great win at Aston Villa away, because they were preparing for a semi-final of the Europa League at that point. Roberto De Zerbi has instilled, belief and confidence into this playing group in the last couple of weeks, but it has been a very, very, very tough season. And without me reminding you of past troubles and grief and strife, you could have secured your Premier League status with a victory at Chelsea, and it's a very nervy and unreliable Chelsea this season. That was a strange night, I thought. Yeah, it was. And, of course, we got the news about them not down the road winning the league as well, and a very, very difficult night for us. But, we've had one win there at Stamford Bridge in 36 years. It's just a place that we don't travel very well at. Same with Arsenal and same with Liverpool. We just don't have very good records there. But you're absolutely right. We've been in many positions where we could have, got the job done, and we've failed to do so. And it all goes down to the final day of the season. And like you said there in the intro, it's down to Spurs, and we are in control of this. All we need is a draw. I would certainly hope that we finish with a win and remain in the Premier League. But, the thought of going into the Championship, honestly, is just... it's unbelievable. Particularly, yesterday was the year anniversary of us winning the Europa League. And as Spurs fans, we all thought that was going to be the springboard to more success. And we heard from the board at the start of the season saying that they sacked Ange Postecoglou because we want to be fighting on all fronts. Far from it. Far from it. I mean, it has been a bizarre season for West Ham as well. But... and without me sounding like poor little West Ham, I'm kind of more used to that, because we have been up and down even since the Premier League started. It's almost unthinkable to lots of us here. We've got Spurs fans in the office. I know Jamie O'Hara, a huge Spurs fan on the Sports Bar earlier. It's almost like the Monkeys leaving Gibraltar or the Ravens leaving the Tower of London if Spurs were to be relegated. Honestly, Paul, when I look at that Championship table, and recently I've been asked on the EFL podcast talking about EFL clubs and about Spurs possibly going down, and I thought it was a bit of a joke at first, but it is a reality that Spurs could go down. To the Championship if they don't buck their ideas up on Sunday, and if West Ham do get the win there against Leeds. But we should never be in this position, and this isn't me being arrogant. We've kind of sleepwalked into this position in the last 2 years, and transfer window should have been a lot better. Yep. Decision making should have been a lot better. Thomas Frank should have gone out the door a lot sooner. Igor Tudor, that was a 44-day waste of time, in my opinion. He's basically come in and just said how terrible everything was. But Roberto De Zerbi, I do have belief in the manager going forward, because he has been a shining light, really. He's brought confidence and he's brought positive energy, and that's what I really like about him. And, without him, I don't think we'd be in this position to be on the final day of the season. But, going back to your point, West Ham, you guys were 13 points below us in January. Yeah. So this should have been out of sight, but of course we didn't pick up points, and you did. Let me ask you this then. At the moment, it's probably all magical blue sky thinking. Would you rather have Everton or Leeds on the last day? I don't think it matters. I really don't, Paul. We've only had two. Well, we played Leeds recently, and that was a tough game.
Yeah.
A lot of people said that they were going to be on the beach. You know, they'd got enough points by the time they come to us at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and everyone thought they'd be on the beach. Far from it. That was a very, very tough game. They wanted to win. They've got a good manager. He's done a very, very good job with the squad that they've got this season. And there's no easy game in the Premier League, and it appears that there's no easy game for Spurs this season, whether it's a home or away, because when us Spurs fans looked at the last two games, Stamford Bridge, 1 win in 36 years. Well, you know, our home record, we've had 2 wins this season in the Premier League. One of them was on the opening day of the season against Burnley, and the last one was in December against Brentford. So we haven't won there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in 5 months.
And I don't say this to be sentimental, I say it because it's a fact. I spoke to my dad a couple of days ago. He's 88 this year, and he's a Spurs fan. And in the way that some older blokes have, he was saying, I really don't want to check out with us in the Championship. And that sums up in some ways, you know, it sounds petty, and it sounds my individual take on it, but it shows you how that will touch so many people's lives if you were to drop down. If you don't know, and you finish 17th 2 years in a row, where can you kick on from this? What do you need to do over the summer?
Massive changes need to be made, Paul. We can't go on like this. We really can't, you know, going around in circles. We've gone through so many different managers that we've spoken, you know, at length about these last few years since coming on here. And, you know, decision-making needs to be a lot better. Transfer windows need to be a lot better. And I know Vinay Venkatesham, our CEO, come out and said that we know that we need to improve and do things differently, you know, get players through the youth system and change the wage structure. The wage structure at the football club has been a big issue for us, you know, getting real decent signings over the line. So a lot of things. And, of course, the injury record. How many injuries have we had this season, last season as well? That is a big, big issue at the football club. So there are so many issues, and I just hope that Roberto De Zerbi, you know, sorts them out one by one. He seems very confident that he's going to go through all the issues in summer, and it's pretty needed.
Now, my nervousness is we've lost our last 3 games, okay? Yeah. Leeds are unbeaten in the last 8, but Everton are a team that will have, I think I'm right in saying, still a vague hope of pushing for European football on the last day.
Yeah, and I hear the records as well. Every time I hear records, Paul, it's bad news for us Spurs fans, because we always seem to do terribly against people that haven't won for such a long time, and I hear that they haven't won since March. So, but you know, honestly, the crowd are going to really need to be up for it again. The crowd have been superb this season, and I've no doubt that they'll be up for it again, especially at home. Apparently, there's going to be a lot of fans, thousands of fans, you know, down the high road as the coach is arriving. So, you know, these players have been supported all season. It is about now the players delivering for this fan base. You know, I've no doubt that some of these players will move on, regardless of whether we're in the Premier League or the Championship next season. You know, they'll be moving on in the summer. But it is about us fans. And like you said there about your dad, you know, none of us want to go down. And all I hear from people saying, well, you know, a year in the Championship might do you good. Absolutely not. You look at some of those teams. I think only 4 teams in the Championship are not an ex-Premier League team. And, you know, look at Forest. Look at, you know, they spent 20 odd years out of the Premier League.
Same with Ipswich, wasn't it, for a good while? I know they're back down. Yeah. But and the other thing about it is, you know, and you don't need me to tell you this, you're going to be the team to beat in the. You're the scout they're all going to want in the Championship. Of
course, yeah. We see all the videos. You know, Lincoln singing Tottenham away all the time, and you know, I think it's been a lot of banter for a lot of people this season, seeing Tottenham in the position that they are. But you know, like I said, we just need to deliver. And I think if De Zerbi can get the Tottenham playing from the off, you know, that we finished the game at Chelsea on Tuesday. The last 20 minutes were quite decent, but he needs to get the James Maddison decision right as well, because you know, he can only play 20, 25 minutes, so I've no doubt that he'll come off.
Do you think you should have come on earlier against Chelsea? There was a lot of talk about that the substitutions all felt a bit late, maybe?
Yeah, well, he said, De Zerbi said after only played 20, 25 minutes, he's governed by medical staff and physios at the moment, and doctors, so he can't actually force him to play anymore. But I think that all of us Spurs fans, and certainly Roberto De Zerbi, would love to see Maddison on from the off, but, you know, it's just not going to happen.
OK, we often do this when we talk to the 2 teams that are kicking off Game Day Live, and I get a prediction from you. it's up to you. I mean, do you want to give us a prediction this morning, or are you just going to have fingers, toes, eyes and legs crossed and hope for the best as I hope for the worst?
Do you know, Paul, for once, I really can't call this. I really can't. And, whether you've mentioned it there, West Ham haven't won in 3. And, you were on a good run. That's why you caught up with us with the points. If you're going to push me for a score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 Spurs, Everton.
Okay. That'd be a heartbreaking
enough.
Enough for you to stay up and a heartbreaking wait for West Ham to go down. Chris, it's been great to talk to you throughout the season, mate. Thanks for all your support. I'm not going to say good luck Sunday. We're going to wait and see what happens. We're going to keep you updated on all the goals as they go in, and some that we hope won't. That was Chris Cowlin, their top man. Great for fronting up on that one. He's the host of the Spurs Chat Podcast. Let's continue the relegation battle conversation as we're joined once again by one of our pals, Sean Whetstone, host of the More Than Just a Podcast. And I understand, Sean, despite me dressed in funereal black, you're in a party mood, is that right?
Well, do you know what? The last game of the season, traditionally, if you've been there, Paul, it's beach balls, people dress up in Hawaii shirts, it's a bit of a party atmosphere. I made my peace with relegation some time ago, right? But West Ham is a cruel mistress, and it tries to build up your hope and then dash it away at the last minute. I think it's a bit too much to ask on Sunday, and therefore I'm looking forward to a season in the Championship. I think no VAR, Wrexham away, Millwall away, Portsmouth away,
Lincoln's a lovely city, lovely cathedral.
Away, right?
Yeah.
Last time we were relegated, I've had some really good away days. And I know this sounds strange.
No, Sean, you can't fool yourself. No, Sean, right? You can't say whoop-de-doo, no VAR if we're in the Championship.
Exactly. No, do you know what? I'm fed up with the Premier League. The Premier League, what does it give us? VAR and everything else. We support West Ham, Paul.
Real football, that's what we want in the Championship.
Exactly. Real football.
Oh, dear. OK, well, let me push you slightly then. We need our hero, David Moyes, to turn into our superhero, don't we?
The Messiah, you mean?
Well,
the Messiah.
It will surely be forever the Lord Mayor of East London if he pulls this one off for us.
Yes. And do you know what? I can see Spurs losing. I mean, the only great thing about Chelsea beating Spurs is it prolonged the agony of Spurs fans for another 5 days. That's the way I looked at it, right? It makes them a lot more nervous going down than it does us, Paul.
Yeah, I love your odd negative positivity, if there is such a phrase.
But I don't see us beating Leeds. So I think Everton could win, but I don't see us beating. Do you know what? They haven't lost, I think, away from home since the 7th of January.
No.
It's going to be a tough thing. And you watched West Ham. You saw how we lined up against Newcastle. I think it's a big ask. For, the planets have to be aligned for us to beat Leeds, who haven't been beat since the 7th of Jan. And it's a bit of a dangerous gamble, but they could just line up just to get a point to safety, as your Spurs fan said.
We have got home field advantage, it says, according to the bookies. I know.
You've been to the London Stadium this season, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah, I'll take your binoculars and not for spying on Middlesbrough.
I think we've been better away from home than we have at home. That's why, honestly, I'm going to the pub in Canary Wharf before we have a few, what we used to say, and we still say, a good day out for sport by 90 minutes of football.
Yeah, and we spoke to Chris Cowlin earlier on, top Spurs fan. He's from the Spurs Chat. He's the host of that podcast. His prediction, I'm not going to force you to predict if you don't want one. He thought it was going to be 1-1. Okay, that means whatever happens, we go down. Yeah, that's enough for us to go down. What do you think the score against Leeds might be? Tough to call, isn't it? Tough to call.
Well, it's a tough one, right? You usually said heart and head.
If you like, right? Go on, if you like.
My heart will always never predict a loss against West Ham, so my heart will always say 1-0 win, I don't know, with a, Callum Wilson penalty or a Bowen penalty. But my head says
Oh, dear.
A draw or a loss.
Oh, okay.
As I said, I'll repeat it again. I have made my peace with relegation. I've been there many times before, as you do. I know how old you are, Paul, so you've been here. You know, the pain of
I was
going
only
down,
76. We just won the FA Cup. We went down under John Lyall.
It's a bad thing. When actually you're relegated, it's not so bad. You win a lot more games.
Yeah.
You go to a lot of new places, and this time no VAR. So I've gone through that pain barrier, and I'm out the other side. So I'm treating Sunday as a celebration, whatever happens. And if a miracle happens, sorry to your Spurs friends on the show a little bit earlier, but the rest of the world celebrates apart from Spurs fans.
And that's the thing. I mean, it would still be...
Everybody wants Spurs to go down, and everyone wants West Ham, not because we're West Ham, because we're not Spurs, right?
It would be one of the greatest jokes of the football gods if the year Arsenal win the Premier League title after 22 years, Spurs get relegated.
Yeah. And after Arsenal winning the Premier League, and boy, have I seen a lot of Arsenal fans out in shirts. I never knew supported Arsenal.
Suddenly it's red and white everywhere, isn't it? Strange, that.
Yeah, it's strange, that. But, you know, it's got to be 1,000 to 1 odds that we could Spurs go down. But what a celebration that would be.
Brilliant stuff there. Staying true to the claret and blue is our pal Shaw Whetstone there, host of the More Than Just a Podcast talking to me, plus you guys on talkSPORT and on Talk. We'll be live till 5. Come on, you Irons.
Struggling with social isolation? Try Walk and Talk.